So some of the questions were very standard questions, just from whatever we have discussed in the class. Most of the questions are like that, apart from the last problem. Okay. So question 1 was give an example of second order PD, one example for parabolic and one for hyperbolic. Okay. And you needed to show the domain of influence and domain of dependence for each of these two types of equations with two independent variables basically. It can be x and t and or x and y or whatever, means whatever independent variables you choose. So we have discussed this in the class. If you remember, we have discussed about this and one example from which we have discussed, you can give those examples or any other examples. Like for example, we have discussed 1D unsteady heat conduction, which is an example of parabolic type of PD. Okay, parabolic second order PD. And in this case, the domain of influence is the top part above, say, at a certain time. If you have a certain disturbance and you draw the T and X domain on the T and X plot. Okay, so X is the X direction, T is the time direction. You can draw the domain on the T and X plot, right? So going from say 0 to L, which is the length of the domain, and from 0 to T, which is the final time, T last. And at any time T, if you introduce a disturbance at any point X, okay, like shown here, the domain of influence is the entire area within the domain above this line, okay, above the constant T line. So this point can influence any area above this line, any point above this line. And the domain of this dependence is any point, so the entire area basically below this line. So the entire area below this line is the domain of dependence. It means that this point depends on any point or any change occurring below this line. So many of you have missed the domain of dependence part. Okay, both needs to be shown, both domain of influence and domain of dependence. Similarly, for hyperbolic equation, we have given example. Okay, so 1D wave equation, and in this case also you can show the domain of influence and domain of dependence. Here they are bounded by the characteristic lines. You should show the equation for the characteristic lines. These lines are not arbitrary, right? This needs to be shown how, like what are the equations for this characteristic line, how they depend on, and they are bounded above this point. They give the domain of influence, and below this point, the lines bound the characteristic point lines bound the domain of dependence. Okay, so it was there, and if you have given answered it correctly, you have got full marks for this. Okay. Next question was, let me just check something. Please switch off your mics. Please switch off your mics. So second example is given example of a situation when the energy conservation equation. So by the way, for first one, you can give other examples also. It is not that you have to give these two examples. You can give any other example, general example, mathematical example also. But these are the most common physical examples. If you don't know any other examples, or if you are unable to come up with any other examples, these were already discussed in the class. Okay. But you should be able to come up with other examples also. If I mention that apart from 1D unsteady heat conduction equation, give an example of a parabolic PD, you should be able to come up with such a situation. So second question was given example of a situation when the energy conservation equation becomes first order PD. Again, just from the notes I have given. Okay, and is hyperbolic in nature. Why does this happen? Derive the equation for characteristics of this PD and show the domain of influence and domain of dependence for this PD. Okay, and as per your request, if you remember, you had requested that this online mode of exam time is short, so I have given generally more marks as compared to what I would have given if it was a offline exam. Okay, so that sufficient time is there. So these questions you should just write to the point. Okay, first one, there is no point in writing too much. Just give the example of the equation and draw the domain of dependence and influence. Okay, you don't need to write one-page answers for this. Okay, I also don't want you to write one-page answers. You have to be concise and to the point. Okay, which shows that you understand correctly the question. Similarly for all the other questions also, just to the point you have to answer. And actually there is lot of time given as per the marks. Okay, means I have inflated the marks somewhat so that there is sufficient time. So second question is, give an example of a situation when the energy conservation equation becomes first order PD. This also we have discussed in the class, but again you can give other examples also if you can think of other examples. So the example that we had discussed was this one. Is this in this notes? No, it is in the other notes. The example 5 that we had discussed. Okay, so 1D heat transfer with flow. So basically 1D convective heat transfer, but with the assumption that the diffusion is almost zero, negligible, and that there is no source term, but there is the transient term. And another important assumption was that U has to be constant. Okay, U is not a variable U, it is a constant. It has a constant value. Okay, so with these assumptions, you can formulate the Navier-Stokes equation for a, like in a simplified form as shown here. Okay, as shown here, dou t plus U infinity dou t dou x equal to 0. So it is expected that actually you should come from the general equation, and based on this assumptions you formulate this equation. But in this case many of you have not done it, still I have given marks, but for the next exam you have to be more careful. Okay, particularly many of you have directly assumed that for any value of U this is valid. Okay, it is not valid for any value of U. U has to be constant, that you need to mention. Okay, that most of you have forgotten. You need to be constant. Okay, so still I have not deducted marks this time, but this is an important part, otherwise you cannot bring U out of this. You need to be inside the equation. Okay, and so for this case it becomes a hyperbolic equation. Okay, you don't need to show why is it hyperbolic, but the second question asks the physical reason why it has become hyperbolic. Okay, not the proof that it is hyperbolic, but why does it happen? And that actually almost none has answered correctly. This happens because physically, if there is a diffusion term in a physical problem, it results in a, so diffusion term is a two-way type of like passes information both ways. Whenever there is diffusion present, it passes information both ways. Okay, it's a two-way phenomena, and if that type of phenomena is it leads to a situation which is say elliptic in nature. If in a steady state case, in an unsteady case also it is elliptic in the spatial direction. Okay, because it's a two-way kind of phenomena, and it's unlimited, means if there is diffusion, any point in the domain can influence any other point in the space coordinate. So wherever, if there is any change that occurs in space coordinate at any point, it will influence any other location in the space coordinate. So say I change some temperature at some point, it should influence all the other points in the domain. Okay, at the same time or at any future time. So along this space, diffusion is a two-way phenomena, and because diffusion is not present here, that elliptic behavior is lost, and it leads to hyperbolic kind of behavior, which is a different kind of behavior, which actually limits the influence to a certain region or certain location. Okay, so that is the physical reason that is why it happens. Okay, it is not that you have to give a proof that this is hyperbolic. You have to physically. So I have asked why this is happening. I have not asked that. Show that this is hyperbolic in nature. Okay, and then derive the equation of characteristics of the PD. Again, this is there in the notes, and you should be able to just derive it. But again, lot of you have skipped lot of steps here. Okay, so it does not, I cannot directly say that because these are the equations, dt dx is equal to u infinity is the characteristics of the PD. Okay, so physically what do we mean by the characteristic? We mean that there is a discontinuity in the highest order term. Okay, and because the highest order term here is the first order term, we want to find the discontinuity, and to find the discontinuity we have to find this for this coefficient matrix that the determinant is equal to 0, and based on that we find that the equation of the characteristic is dx dt is equal to u infinity. Okay, not from here or some directly something like by step jump. So it shows that you have not understood actually what is the characteristic. Those of you who have not done it correctly. Okay, so this time I have generously given marks, but next time you have to be more careful again. Okay, and what was the other part of the question? Show the domain of influence and domain of dependence of the PD. Again, many of you have answered wrongly. Okay, so if I go back to the notes here, it is not shown here directly, but say there is a disturbance at any point. Say at this point there is a disturbance where my mouse cursor is. So domain of influence is always bounded by the characteristics, right? So this point can only influence the points ahead of this point. The entire line is not the domain of influence or domain of dependence. Only the points ahead of this along this forward direction is the domain of influence, and this point depends only on the points below this, means before these points along like along the time or space. Okay, so if there is a disturbance at any point, so on one side of the point is the domain of influence along the line, and on the other side is the domain of dependence. Okay, it is not this entire area is domain of dependence. Some of you, like, yes, you were asking where did I deduct marks? So this is one of the area you have made the mistake, that you have shown that this is the domain of dependence, and obviously none of the students answered correctly the question why is this is happening. So for everyone, I think if they have vaguely answered, I might have given it this time, given the marks this time. Otherwise, most of you might not have got the marks for this part. Okay, but maybe partially I have given one mark, given something like theoretical. Next time it will be more problem based, but again, lot of theory will be there. So governing equation for 2D potential flow is given 1 minus m infinity square del square phi del x square plus del square phi del y square equal to 0. You have to determine the nature of characteristics for this equation and discuss the significance of this finding. Okay, so both the parts you have to answer. So determine the nature of characteristics. Either way you can determine, either based on say eigenvalues, or based on directly just based on that b square minus 4ac, the value of b square minus 4ac that we have discussed, which is the easier way. So if you use this b square minus, so you have to show the calculation that b square minus 4ac for one case, if the m infinity is equal to 1, this becomes equal to 0, which means that there is one real characteristic and it leads to parabolic type of behavior. If infinity is less than 1, there is no real characteristic. Okay, because b square minus 4ac is less than 0. You have to show that this is happening. Directly you cannot just say that this is happening. And for the third case also, if m infinity is greater than 1, b square minus 4ac comes out as greater than 1. So you have to show what is a, b, and c and calculate the b square minus 4ac. Okay, and this leads to hyperbolic type of equation. So The significance, main significance of this, many of you have done correctly, many have not yet not done correctly, some have done partially correctly. I have given partial marks. Is that not only that we can know the nature of the equation, but by knowing the nature of the equation, we can tune our solution algorithm. So we have to generalize our solution algorithm such that we can take the different types of behavior into account. Some of you have done it correctly. Okay, you have said that we have to develop the solution algorithm accordingly. For example, say for a parabolic equation, the forward marching type of behavior should be taken into account. For hyperbolic equation, there is a jump or discontinuity, like shock type of behavior is present or captured, which should be captured by our algorithm. Okay, so algorithm has to be such that different types of behavior for different value of m infinity should be able to, or should be captured by the algorithm. Okay, that is the significance of this finding of the characteristic nature of characteristics. Fourth one, I am not going into details. It's directly just you have to derive what is del square phi del x del y. Everyone I think has done it correctly almost. Okay, unless you have like partially done it. If you have done it correctly, you have got full marks. Okay, if you have not done any mistakes in between or something. One or two students might have done some mistakes in between. And so with I and J, some people have confused and made mistakes. Okay. So it is not only about getting the final result, in between steps also has to be correct. Okay, so step by step you can do. And fifth one is consider a thin bar of length 0.4 meter, and like basically a problem is there where if I can show you quickly, just again many of you have done correctly but done some calculation mistakes for which I have deducted 1 or 2 marks or 2-3 marks. If this is just a minor mistake, if you are not able to do it at all or like partially done it, then obviously more marks have been deducted. So if I consider this problem, you have a domain which is given of a certain length. Okay, so let me just draw it again on the top side. Domain is given for a certain length, and it is suggested that you divide it into 3 internal grid points and 2. Means you arbitrarily you cannot take any number. You have to divide into 3 internal grid points and 2 boundary grid points. The length is 0.04 meter and cross-sectional area, thermal conductivity is given, boundary conditions are given, uniform heat generation is given. It's a steady state problem. So this is our grid point 1. This is our grid point 5. And 3 internal grid points basically. So if I divide it into 3 control volumes. Okay, so here is 1 grid point, 2, and 3, and grid point 4. Now you have to basically discretize the steady state heat conduction equation, which we have already, you know already how it looks like. d dx of k dt dx plus a source term equal to 0. Appropriately, you have to calculate the source term, which is given in this case. And the discretized equation needs to be applied for these 3 internal grid points for 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so you will have 3 equations and 3 unknowns because the boundary condition values are known. From 3 equations and 3 unknowns, you have to calculate and show what are the final temperatures. Okay, I don't remember the exact value. I think it is 175 degree for this. I think it is 175 degree for this. 250 degree for the center one and 225 degree centigrade for the other one, something like that. Okay, most surely this is the case. Those who have got full marks can check. If you have made a silly mistake here, I am not given. If you have not shown it and just said temperature can be calculated, that is not solving the problem. So I have deducted more marks there. Obviously, temperature can be calculated from this equation, but I want you to show how what is the final result. Okay, I don't want. So then I can say that this can be discretized and solved to calculate temperature. So I don't need to solve also. But that is not the point of this problem. You have to find the actual values. Solve the CFD problem and find the actual values. Okay, and then you have to find the heat flux at the center point. So which you can do based on this point and this point. So temperature minus k dt dx. So this minus this by dx, distance between these two points. Okay, some of you have made mistake. Distance between these 2 points is 0.2 meter, not 0.1 meter, because this is 2 grid points. And calculate the value accordingly. Okay, based on this, you cannot solve the analytical equation and find the heat flux, because you are supposed to find based on the CFD calculation. Obviously, analytical equation will give you the correct value, but based on your CFD calculation, you have to find the heat flux. Some of you have done solve the analytical equation, like try to solve it analytically and find the temperature variation, like T is equal to C1 x square or x square plus C1 x plus C2, something like that. That is not the point. So obviously, we know that we can solve it analytically, but we want to solve it using CFD, okay, finite volume method. So based on that, you can get the heat flux. You can either give, actually heat flux was asked, so you can either give the heat flux or you can give the heat transfer rate. Both are not same. Remember, heat flux is minus k dt dx. Heat transfer rate is minus k dt dx into the area. Okay, I've given marks for both, but heat flux means only minus k dt dx per unit area, not multiplied by area. But if you multiply by area also, that is fine, because it shows that at least you understand how to calculate it correctly. Accordingly, marks have been given. Any questions on this? Performance has been generally well, but this time question was easier, so it is expected that performance would be good. Next time questions may be slightly harder. Okay. So to differentiate between the students, but still MTech students slightly need to improve their performance. Some of the MTech students, and one or two have performed quite poorly. PhD student was also there, has performed very poorly. PhD student, Thomas, you are there?
Sir. I am here, sir.
You have to improve. You have to improve significantly. You are a PhD student, and you are getting lowest marks is not sufficient. Okay, you have more time also. You study harder. If you have difficulty, you study through the books, go through the YouTube lectures, ask me questions, or contact me separately. Some of the other MTech students also, I don't know why you have performed poorly here, but you have performed well in the other course, gas turbines. Okay, so MTech students have performed good in the gas turbines course. Everyone has performed well, but one or two students have performed not good here. Maybe some internet connection issue or some other issue was there. So that actually is bad luck. So otherwise, it is okay. And I will just repeat what I have told previously. Okay, it is very easy for me to detect if you are just copying something. Again, some cases are there. I am not mentioning this time or not doing anything, but please be careful next time. Next time I will have to take or deduct some marks in that case. Okay, if you directly copy from the notes, it is apparent by looking at the language or things like that, whether you are copying from someone or copying from the notes. I cannot say who has copied from whom, but it is like two answers are similar. It can be said, and then I have to punish both the students, the person who has given the answer and the person who has copied. This time, okay, I am just letting off with a warning. In a general direction, I am not pointing to anyone. And some have copied from the notes, many have so like that also. Be very careful. Okay. So let us. So any questions on this? Otherwise, we will jump into. We are already quite delayed in our course. Not very delayed, but at the limit, like almost at the limit. So we have to go along at speed. If there are no questions, I will proceed further on the course material. One point I needed to discuss before going further. Okay. So because this time is very limited. Okay. Unlike the previous year. So initially, if you remember, I have told that there may be a significant component for a project. Okay. But now I feel that it might be too hectic for the students. Okay. So I I'm asking about your suggestion in this. Means you guys need to decide and tell me whether you want to do a project or should I increase the weightage of the exams and just give some assignment problems, programming assignments, like a mini project kind of things. Like you have to, I will give some mini projects based on fixed projects, means programming projects on developing, say, line by line TDFM program or things like that. Couple of 3-4 projects like this, small projects, not projects, you can say assignment problems only. Or do you want to do independent projects? Like what is your suggestion? But time is very short this time, so I am thinking that it might be too difficult for many of the students. Okay, doing a project, learning say new thing, and then presenting it.
Yes, the time is short, sir.
And many courses are also going on. Okay, so it might be too difficult. So I think the better option is to follow the standard curriculum, which is generally followed in the institute this time, which is that weightage for the exams are 80% and 20% is for class performance, which is in this case it will be based on assignments which I will give this week. I will give 2 assignments on the finite volume method, finite difference of, like, choice will be there, so you decide what to do. And next also I will give 1 or 2 more assignments, programming assignments that you can use any program like MATLAB or whatever you are comfortable in, and do, and then submit some plots also, not only the program but some plots and some of your inferences from the plot, means what you have learned, means give some bullet points what you have learned from, or something like that. I will give these questions separately, what needs to be. Okay, it's not that you just submit the program, you have to submit some plots also and some inferences from it. Okay. So separately I will send an email and upload also in the Teams portal. Okay. So, and project might be too difficult. Last time actually students have done a fantastic job about the project. Although I could not reward them properly because initially I had given very high grades, but because of grade moderation, the grade moderation committee actually reduced many of the grades. So I could not give very large number of EX or A grades. Okay. So again, that limit is still there. So it is not up to us. You have to remember. So anyway, let us come back to the course, okay, syllabus or whatever we were describing. By the way, the projects actually would have been very helpful. This time we could not do it because of shortage of time, because the course is also learning late. I cannot give the project before teaching you the parts. But what I feel is that if you do a project, you can learn a lot of practical things. And last time students have, in the CFD course, they have done wonderful job actually. Very practical project they have done, which is in some cases it is equivalent or even better than BTP projects that they do. Okay, very, it was quite well.
Sir, some small projects, if we can do, not very big or so much data we have to collect, and all some small projects, because whole thing just learning won't help. Application we should also.
Correct. Who is? I cannot understand from
Aniket,
here.
sir. Aniket.
Okay. So yes, that is what I also feel. But is it going to put too much pressure on her? That I am thinking, because project would have been ideal. Means I can give the deadline after the exam also, just before the grade submission to present a small project. Or what can be done is other option is that I can make optional also, means see either assignment or project, something like that. So if you want to do the assignments, you can do the assignments.
That is good, sir.
If you want to do the project, you can do the project instead of the assignment. Means those who want to do the assignments, they can do the programming assignment. Assignments will be structured, means I will give what has to be done. Project is unstructured, means unstructured means not CFD unstructured, means I will not give you the structure of the project. Means you decide what project you are going to do, whether you are going to write a code or do a ANSYS based project. Both you are learning. Means I hope you guys are learning ANSYS in the, you have the, no, the first years are not learning ANSYS right now, right? It is in the second semester, both of you or for all the students. The senior batches learn. In the second semester you learn ANSYS, but you can also go through ANSYS tutorials and get like learn it beforehand. You will learn this anyway in the CMTFE, not the CMTFE, MSSL Lab 2 course in the second semester. Okay. Or the, for the dual degree students, I think it is there in the, for dual degree students, MSSL 2 is there. Do the dual degree students know? Do you have that lab, ANSYS and other things that is taught? I think it is there, right? In your 8th semester, it is there, where you will learn. Dr. Venugopal teaches, or Dr. Venugopal or Dr. Bhunkar, ANSYS and other stuff. Means practical point of view application of this heat transfer and fluid flow. So there also you will learn something, but you can get a head start. And many of you already know ANSYS, and it is also very important from job perspective, as I have already told. So you can use ANSYS or any other tool, or you can write a code, because that also gives you a very good idea. So I think I will make it optional. Okay, I will send the assignments. So those of you who want to do the assignments can submit the assignment. Assignment deadline also I can make it just before the exams, all the assignments. Okay. After the exam, it will be too less time for me to check the assignments. So you have to submit just before the exams, all the assignments. And for the project, you can do a project, you have to present the project. Okay, like very short 5 or 10 minutes, like previously you guys have done. And that can be done after the exam. Okay, couple of days after the exam, if there is time, when we are copy checking. And so if you are interested in doing projects, do you want to do individual short projects or like team projects? Aniket or any other students?
The team will work, but other students should be willing.
It is
team will be built.
only concern for me. I am happy with anything, single student, double student, maximum up to 3 students. Okay, for a team, like what was given in the previous case. But only concern for me is that if everybody does single, I know that most of many of you will not like have the time also for doing the project. But if 29 students, all of you do a single project, then it will be very difficult to take presentation of 29 projects. But otherwise, it is fine. It is, you can take an individual project, or I think let us limit it to individual projects, or a two member project, not 3 member this time, because it's an optional thing, either individual or 2 member. But in the presentation, both members have to be able to answer questions. Means if I ask some questions, okay, and other students can also be there in the presentation. They can also learn from it, and it is up to you. Means it, I'm like, there is not going to be any preference for me that okay, this student has done projects, I will give more marks to him, or this student has not done projects like assignment. Both have equal weightage, so it is up to you. Means you don't think about that. Without doing a project, I cannot get good marks. If you do the assignments also properly, you can also get good marks. So it depends on your understanding, how you have done. Okay, but again, if you copy everything in the assignment, then you are just not learning anything. Okay, so if you are individually presenting a project, I can at least know that you have tried something on your own and learned something. That also is there. Okay. So that choice is there. And I will upload couple of problems. Yes.
Sir.
Yes.
Sir, I'm Lokesh.
Yes, Lokesh. Tell me.
Sir, can you give 1 or 2 example, or which type of project, mini project we have to do? Like
you don't have to do, but you can do. Okay, so It can be anything. For example, say the internet connection problem was there. Can you still hear me? Can you guys hear me?
Yes,
Network
sir.
is
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
okay. Let me give couple of examples. Okay. Please let me know if you cannot hear something. Hear any. Okay. So say you want to do a realistic project. Okay, you can do a mathematical project also. That is also fine. Mathematical projects have lot of importance. Okay, let me give you 2-3 examples. Okay, typical, but don't just do that one only. What I'm so for example, I have a room. It can be a 2D room or a 3D room. Okay, I have a room like this, and with certain dimensions. Say your drawing room or some room or bedroom or some office room, and I want to study the effect. So the room is there and at a certain temperature, and I want to study the effect of installing an air condition at a certain location. Okay, I want to see if I install the air condition at this point or at the middle top point of one of the wall, how the temperature and velocity. So air condition is releasing some air at a certain velocity. Okay, how the temperature and flow pattern change with time. Okay, so this is a very realistic problem, slightly difficult. This we will have to use some commercial tool to solve. Okay, you have to develop the geometry and solve. A simple version of this will be, say, instead of 3D, if I take 2D. Okay, this is my room. I am just looking from the top view, and this portion is my air condition. Okay, I'm saying that this now it's a 2D problem now instead of 3D. Okay, I think that okay, this is too difficult as a mini project, so I am going for a 2D project. So from here I put some inlet velocity. Again, I'm using some package because coding fluid flow is very difficult. Okay, solving Navier-Stokes equation is very difficult. You don't have sufficient time right now. Okay, so you have some flow from here, and also some flow escape also has to be there, right? When I'm saying some flow, it also has to return. So from some point or some point below, actually AC, there is also return flow. Okay, or you can assume that there is some duct somewhere, and how the temperature pattern is getting changed, and what is the fluid flow pattern here. I can take even a simpler example. That same thing is there in 2D, but I will not calculate even the flow effect because even it is too difficult for me. I will assume it's a conduction based problem. Okay, so there is a cold temperature here, say it is 20 degree or 16 degree or 20 degree, and initially all the other part of the room is at 30 degrees centigrade, and the other boundaries are walls are insulated. With time, how the temperature changes with time. This can be easily tackled by writing a code also, or can be tackled using a commercial package, or we can just write a 2D finite difference code easily. Okay, you can write it easily based on the even the assignments that I give. You can write the code for this 2D finite difference code based on explicit method like just time marching, and put the correct boundary condition, and you should be able to get the result. You have to discretize this domain. Okay, or I can go for a more simple type of problem where I want to show that I can write the code properly. So I take something like some 1D geometry or something like this, and there is a burner or a heater at one point which is acting like a heat source, and the other side is insulated, or you can consider that it's a fin, and there is a heat source at this point. Okay, and the heat gets dissipated from this other sides. Okay, because it's a fin, and you can try to solve this problem. Okay, so some heat transfer, fluid flow. You can even solve for other types, only flow type of problems where there is no heat transfer, or only heat transfer problem where there is no fluid flow. Okay, so for example, I have a structure like this, step structure, and flow is coming from here and going out from here. So because of this step, how the flow pattern is changing. This type of problem I can solve. Or there is a cylinder or a aerofoil or some other body, some other structure, and flow comes from one side, goes out from other side, and how the flow pattern changes around this. That also you can solve this type of problems. Or you can take more challenging practical problems like last time some students have done. They have assumed phase change problems where there is say you are using boiling to cool a processor or some other device, or you are using some PCM phase change material to cool something. Okay, or but those type of problems will be quite challenging in this limited time. Then more mathematical problem you can try instead of this type of physical problems. So you want to try to compare the effect of or accuracy of different type of schemes. So I solve a 1D finite volume. I write a 1D finite volume code. Okay, and try to see if I change the grid spacing or the time step. I just take a very simple problem like 1D conduction or 1D conduction diffusion diffusion convection problem. If I change the space step or time step, how the accuracy change means if I compare with the exact solution, how the accuracy change, and I can plot the accuracy versus grid spacing, how the computational time change, like more mathematical problem. What is the order of accuracy, things like that. Also you can try. So lot of options are there. You can go for other types of projects. I don't remember, but like last time students have done on microfluidics. Then I was saying phase change materials, flow over complicated surfaces, serrated surfaces, okay, step surfaces, things like that. Any type of projects which is feasible. The only concern is that it has to you should not try to take a very big challenging problem and then unable to do it. Remember that even small problems which looks very simple like flow over this sphere, if you want to do it in Fluent, ANSYS Fluent, actually may become very challenging. You may see that it is not converging. Okay, even making the mesh may be difficult. So these are not so easy as you think it is. Okay, so again this type of problems. Okay, say a room is there and a candle is burning in the room. Okay, at some point, so it is acting like a heat source, and I want to solve how the whether or candle or say not a candle, more like a larger heater is there, or a bulb is there, 100-watt bulb is there, how it is affecting the temperature profile in the room. That also I can write a very easy finite difference code or finite volume code to solve this type of problem. You can take if the bulb is say in a lighted or switched on condition for 10 hours, how the temperature change in the room, what is the temperature in the corner, what is the temperature near the bulb, things like that. Any problem. Okay, is it clear to everyone? So if you want to use a code, you can take this type of problems. If you want to solve using a code and similar to your assignment problems, because you will be developing in the assignment some code 2D finite difference or finite volume code for solving diffusion based problem, not convection. Convection is too difficult, but diffusion based problem. And you can apply it to you can tune the code to a practical example. Okay. So you should know how to reduce a very complex system to a very simple system so that you can solve using the code. Okay, by taking appropriate assumptions. Another example let me give. It's also a diffusion problem, but not heat transfer problem. Okay, room is there and some smoke is generated, some chemical reaction is going on and some smoke is generated here. Okay, or you're burning something, some smoke is generated, or you have sprayed something like the mosquito repellent or something, some deodorant. So, and if there is no velocity, no air movement, the fan is switched off, the molecules of this smoke particles or the scent particles will travel because of diffusion. So you have to solve the diffusion equation for this species. Okay, not the temperature, for the species conservation equation, similar to energy equation. So the same species conservation equation, like you have to solve this this type of equation. C is the concentration of this smoke or scent or whatever. Okay, plus a source term. There is a source term at this point. Okay, so it's an unsteady problem, and again can be easily solved using explicit method because there is no convective term. It is very easy to solve. In 1 or 2 days it can be done. So I am expecting this type of problems at least. If you want to do a more challenging problem, you are welcome to do it. Those who are experienced may try it, but remember that it might not be feasible because you have a lot of other exams, and towards the end you will see that time is getting crunched because other professors will also start taking extra classes. Already it's happening for few courses. I am also going to take extra classes for Gastermine definitely every week. Dr. Venugopal is already started taking extra classes. So because time is short, others may start taking extra classes, extra labs, things like that, or say some presentations, vivas, things like that. So for example, in gas turbine course, I am thinking of having a presentation or some session like that. Okay. Because initially also I have told that there may be something like some seminar on a topic you have to keep. So time may be of very short availability. So you have to take a problem which you are capable to do within this short period of time, like in 3-4 days, if you are able to do, or like continuously if you work 3-4 days. That is my expectation, not a very challenging problem. But if you are able to do a challenging problem, that is fine. Okay. Is it clear to everyone? Any questions?
Yes, sir.
Only one point I will remind you is that the assignment problem that I am going to give is almost like a mini project, but it is just mathematical, means it does not have that too much physical significance. So you can tune it to a mini project of your choice. Means so for example, I write that you develop a 2D finite volume code for solving 2D steady state heat transfer problem and apply it for solving heat transfer with a source term. Okay, source term at the center, steady state or unsteady. So now you can develop that code, and because anyway you are developing that code, you can tune it for a practical example. Say you are trying to solve an actual problem like a species conservation equation, because that same code can be used for species conservation equation, and you can solve it for the example that I was giving, or for any other type of situation like this. Okay, or you can go for other, or you can try to develop 1D. Some students had actually last time given very nice presentations on the mathematical aspect of different schemes, mathematical aspects of different schemes, and like shown what is the accuracy and the work was very good. What are the accuracy of different types of schemes and how to improve the accuracy. So that was also a very nice work. Those type of works were also good. I remember also some. I think last time almost everyone had given very nice project presentations. But both options are open. Okay, it is up to you to decide. You have to optimize your time. Only thing is that this is a 4-credit course as compared to other 3-credit courses. So more credit hours are there, and accordingly you are expected to spend more time. So if it is clear to everyone, I will just take a small break here to rest my throat. So as I cannot speak for long, like causes me breathing problem. Then after the break, we will start discussing about convection diffusion problems. Okay. Hello, can you hear me? I'm back.
Yes, sir.
So let us continue. Time is limited. So in the previous class, towards the end, if you go through the lecture, video, anyway, I'm going to upload it also. I think one video is left. I think I uploaded all the videos. One of the video remaining. So we started discussing out. We have finished the previous chapter. I told even the small parts of the previous chapter, which was on finite volume method, introduction to finite volume method, and then how to discretize first this diffusion term, then diffusion with source term, and then unsteady term. So we have tackled all the three terms out of the four terms that are present in a general conservation equation. General conservation equation is like energy equation, momentum equation, like that is shown here. Okay, which has four terms: unsteady term, convective term, diffusion term, and source term. So by this point in the course, we are familiar about how to discretize this unsteady term, diffusion term, and source term. The only unfamiliar term to us is the convective term, how to discretize this convective term. Okay, and I was saying in the previous class that for this chapter or for this part, we will assume that we already know the value of u. Okay, it is not of concern to us how the value of u is known. Maybe somebody has supplied you the value of u. Maybe you have done some experiments and found what is the value of u at different locations, or you have solved it the problem analytically, like a pipe flow problem, okay, or flow over a cylinder to find out the flow field, or you might have solved the Navier-Stokes equation numerically and actually calculated the flow field numerically using CFD. Okay, but the point is that u is already known at this point. U means the u at all the grid points, all the control volumes is known. Okay, vector u means if it's a 2D problem, both the u and v components are known. If it's a 3D problem, u, v, and w components are known at all the grid points. Okay, all the control volumes. And if the u or the velocity field is known, how it affects the other scalar fields like temperature or concentration, that is what we are trying to learn, or we are trying to deduce or derive schemes for that. Okay, that is our aim in this subsequent discussion. So what we will do is we will start with this with a simple example of a convective diffusive governing equation, and at first just remove the source term and the unsteady term, because there is nothing new that needs to be learned in for the unsteady and source term. Whatever treatment we have given for the unsteady and source term, that treatment still holds true even when the convective term is present. Okay, even when we have the convective term, we can still formulate the unsteady term and source term as we have formulated previously. Okay, by discretizing the domain into say some grid points P, west, east, and then for that control volume, integrating over the control volume source term and the unsteady term. Okay, with respect to time and space. And as I have discussed, I have just written here for the sake of completeness of the notes, but we already have discussed this thing. We have already developed methods in previous lectures to discretize the unsteady diffusion and source terms and formulate the discretized equation of this form. AP phi p, where phi is our concerned variable, is equal to summation of all the neighboring grid point, so influence of all the neighboring grid points A and B, phi and B, plus if there is any source term, it manifests as the term B. Okay, in the equation. So NB denotes all the neighboring grid points, and P is P denotes it should be capital P. Okay, capital P here denotes the concerned grid point, and we should keep on changing the capital P point going over all the grid points, like by varying I and J. So you can, instead of P, you can also write I comma J. Okay, and just keep on changing I comma J, but this is the standard notation, because always you cannot write in terms of Ij if it is an unstructured grid, because you cannot just proceed along I and J. So any concerned grid point still I can denote by P even in unstructured grid, and account for all the neighboring cells as NB. Okay, but I cannot have any particular direction Ij in that case. Unstructured means the grids do not follow a certain pattern, like they are not nicely arranged along the x and y direction. Okay, they are arbitrary in structure. We will study towards the end of the course in the last 1 or 2 weeks. So our aim is to discretize this.
Sorry, your voice.
Can you hear me? My internet connection got dropped off. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Internet connection got dropped off. Let me just share again the document. You can see the screen also? Can somebody confirm?
Yes, sir.
Can you? Okay, good. So let us continue. Okay. I was saying that our aim is to discretize this convective term such that we can still develop the discretized equation of the same form. Okay. Why we are concerned with the same form? We are concerned with the same form because we already have developed some solution algorithms for this form. Okay. We know that we can solve this form either using 3DMA for a 1D problem or line by line TDMA for a 2D or 3D problem, or Gauss-Seidel method, okay, or similar methods, okay, or Jacobi method, or any of the other methods. So basically we know how to solve if we can develop the discretized equation in this form. So our aim is always to develop the discretized equation of this form, okay. Because we can write this as a coefficient matrix multiplied by the unknown variables is equal to some known variables, okay, that form. The only thing that is going to change if we include the convective term is the coefficients AP and the ANB, means AE, AW, those terms are going to change. Otherwise, the discretized equation form will look same. That is our target. So these parts I have already described, so I'm not going through it again. It is just so that you remember it. Okay, like velocity field may be known based on analytical solution, numerical solution, experimental data, or directly given. Okay, and I have also said that this discussion is valid for all scalar equations such as NRG equation, species equation. Only exception is that for momentum equations we cannot solve like this because momentum equation needs special treatment for two reasons. One is that momentum equations also contain a pressure term, and because of the presence of the pressure term, you have an additional unknown, this pressure unknown. So if you have a 3D problem, you have three momentum equations for the u velocity, v velocity, and w velocity, but four unknowns: u, v, w, and p. Please switch off the mic. So you need another equation for solving P, and that fourth equation comes from the continuity equation. But in the continuity equation, there is no pressure. Okay. So somehow you have to use that continuity equation, the information present in the continuity equation, to bring out a equation for pressure. okay, or to find the pressure by using the information present in the continuity equation, which is not very straightforward. So some complex algorithms are there for that, and that's why we cannot use the formulation that is derived here. Okay. And the second thing is that momentum equations are also non-linear in nature, because you have terms like rho u, rho vu, terms like this are present. D dx of rho u, terms like this are present. So coefficient itself is non-linear. Okay, coefficient itself depends on, coefficient is not non, coefficient depends on the variable itself, or is a function of the variable. So the terms become non-linear, and you need iterative techniques for solving, but that is not a very big challenge, because you can always use, so if you have terms like rho u, you can use one of the u values from the previous calculation and solve for the other u, and then the equation will become similar to this form. Okay, where the unknown u is the phi, and the known u is already like given you like this, which is taken from the previous we can solve it. So the big challenge is that the pressure field is unknown, and you have no direct equation for the pressure field. Okay, so momentum equations will be taken later on. As you know, who have done the course with me, we will study the most common type of algorithm: simple, simpler, simplex, and piso. Okay, in this course, which are generally used in the commercial packages. Simpler, piso. These are the common algorithms. And so let us come to our problem here. Okay, so as I was saying, we will start with a simple 1D case and ignore this source term and unsteady term, because we know how to tackle this term. The treatment for those is already known, and the treatment is not going to change based on the addition or removal of the convective term, because we already know how to tackle those terms, how to treat those terms. We can use that knowledge in this case also. Okay. So to simplify the problem, let us start with a very simple 1D problem, which only has the convection and diffusion terms. Term, and only try to solve for the convection term, because convection and diffusion are actually related. Okay. So when I am saying convection, I am using the colloquial language, means commonly used language. Actually, what I am saying is that advection term and diffusion term. Advection is the transport due to the fluid flow, and diffusion is the transport due to local movement, means like Brownian motion. Okay, and combined effect of advection and diffusion is what actually is technically convection. Okay, but colloquially we call this flow as convection. Okay, so here also interchangeably I am calling convection, but actually what we are saying is that advection term and diffusion term. So both are intricately related, because convection actually encompasses both. So we have to tackle both of them together. Okay, otherwise we cannot. The problem becomes a very simplistic, unrealistic problem. Okay, like a continuity, it will become like a continuity equation if only, say, the flow equation is there. So with the assumptions, we are going to start this assumption: steady state problem, obviously, because we are removing the unsteady term and no source term, and 1D problem. And with these assumptions, this is the equation for the 1D problem: d dx of rho u phi. Okay, the same equation. So let us go back to our standard screen size. Same equation. Now the unsteady term is gone, source term is gone. These two terms are present. Because it is 1D, del dot actually now becomes d dx. Okay, of rho u, instead of vector u, we just have only the u direction velocity. So it's like that. Only u velocity, scalar quantity. Okay, magnitude, and phi. Actually, it's not. It still has direction, but only along the x direction. Okay, this u is equal to d dx of. So this becomes d dx of gamma d phi dx. Okay. So this is our equation, governing equation, and we want to develop the finite volume algorithm for this. Means using the finite volume method, we want to develop the discretized equation. So for this case, as some of you already know, there are very standard schemes, okay, which are used, and we will start with the simplest type of schemes and go on towards the more complex schemes which are nowadays used. Okay, we'll start with the most simple or most intuitive scheme, and gradually we will see some of the problem with those schemes and try to go towards more complex and more accurate schemes. So the simplest scheme actually is known as central difference scheme, which is very intuitive in nature, as we will see. Like if you don't know anything also, you can just derive the central difference scheme just based on your common sense. Okay, so let us try to first understand the central difference scheme, and then we will see what are the main drawbacks of this scheme and why it cannot be used in all cases. Again, for the old students, it might be like a revision for you guys, okay, because you already know these things. These are very standard but very important part of the course. Without knowing this, you cannot develop the insight. You might be blankly able to run ANSYS and solve some cases, but you won't know. You will be able to use a scheme in certain condition which may not be appropriate for that. Okay. So let us come back to our familiar discretized grid structure. Okay. So the entire domain is divided into large number of control volumes, out of which we are considering a particular control volume P, which goes from small w, interface small w, to small e. Okay. And length of the control volume is delta x, capital delta x, and it is represented by a grid point P at its center. Its adjacent grid points are capital W on the west side and capital E on the east side. Okay, and the distance between the grid points on the east side is small delta into xc. No, sorry, not into small delta xc, and on the west side is small delta xw. Okay. So this is our standard notation. We have already studied this numerous times for the previous cases while learning the diffusion-based problem, 1D or 2D. Okay. If it is a 2D problem, we can just extend it. We will do it later. We will have north and south, and similarly we will have delta y and delta yn and delta ys, delta y north, delta y south. Similarly for 3D, you will have also top and bottom. So you will have delta z and delta z top, delta z bottom. So I think it is better to keep this open in some form, although it will look very small in your screens, but at least you have that. I can zoom it so that it is there, so that we can always refer to this figure. Although it should be by this time ingrained in your mind. Okay, very familiar to you. For jobs also, these points are quite important. Okay, job interviews sometimes for say code section, you guys are dual degree students or MTech students, so you guys will be applying mostly for, like many of you might be applying for core jobs or R&D type of job, whether in on campus or off campus. So they are like, when I had given interviews on campus or off campus, I was also asked similar type of questions from this scheme. I derive a discretized scheme based on upwind method or any method for a 1D problem. So you should be very familiar in for this like in this area, the diffusion and convection for 1D type of situation, how to derive a discretized scheme. Interviewers are quite familiar with this area, those who work in CFD. Okay, these are the most important basics of the CFD course. Later on, I will also have a session with you, means like I have recently had sessions with second year students. So when your turn will come, I will have sessions giving you suggestions on how to answer typical questions that are asked in the interview, okay, based on my experience over the years, what the interviewers expect, and how to actually tune your answers towards what are the correct answers for different questions. So anyway, let us not digress. So we have this discretized or mesh structure, and first we will start with the continuity equation, okay, because the information from the continuity equation is needed for our case. We'll start with the continuity equation for control volume P. For this 1D problem, simple 1D problem, the continuity equation is nothing but d dx of rho u is equal to 0. Okay, if you remember the continuity equation, it is dou t of del rho del t plus del dot rho u equal to 0. So for steady problem, that unsteady term is not present, and you are only left with del dot rho u equal to 0. For 1D case, it becomes equal to d dx rho u equal to 0. So if I integrate over the control volume, like we do in finite volume method, going from west to east, we can write this as d dx rho u into dx from going from west to east equal to 0, or rho u at east interface minus rho u at west interface equal to 0. Okay, so this rho u term, which we will encounter frequently, is known as advective strength. Okay, it is known as advective strength and is denoted by capital F. Okay, so F is defined as rho u, which gives us a the physical significance is that it gives us a measure of the effect of convection or strength of the convection or advection. Like how strong is the advection as compared to diffusion? Okay, and from continuity equation we get that the advective strength at the east face should be equal to that at the west face. Okay, so rho u at east should be equal to rho u at west. So how this rho u at east and west are defined, that is a different issue. It means that at this interface we have to interpolate this rho u values. So I can write this as rho e u e. Somehow I have to interpolate the u values here, or we will see later that we can use something called a staggered grid point, where the u's are defined at the interfaces itself and directly known. If the u's are not defined at the interfaces, typically all the variables up to the point we have studied in this course, you know that variables are defined at the grid points. Okay, so you will have a u value at P and a u value at E. So you can define that u at small e as up plus u capital E divided by 2. Like this, I can define u at small w as up plus uw by 2. Okay, so similarly rho also rho p plus rho e by 2, rho p plus rho w by 2. Okay. So the point is that these are the interface values. Somehow we have to calculate the interface values from known values. From the convection diffusion equation that we have written, d dx of rho u phi equal to d dx gamma d phi dx, again we can integrate over this control volume going from west to east, and if you integrate it from west to east, you get integral of this term rho u phi at east minus rho u phi at west is equal to gamma d phi dx at east minus gamma d phi dx at west. Okay, these terms we have already tackled in the previous chapter. We know how to tackle this diffusion term. What we have done is we have taken a profile assumption, step-by-step linear profile assumption, and then written the phi in terms of that for the east and west interface. Okay, same thing we are going to do here. Okay, and for the unknown terms, for the new terms, we will see what can be done. Okay, so the challenge here is to develop the discretized equation for these new terms. Okay. So if we can write this term as rho u at east into phi east, rho u because separately we are writing because this is nothing but this Fe, okay, advective strength. So advective strength at the east interface multiplied by the value of phi at the east interface. We do not know the value of phi. Remember, we do not know the value of phi at east interface. We have to interpolate based on these grid point values. Previously, we had taken linear interpolation between the grid points for this diffusive terms. So here also we are going to start with this simplest example. Okay. So rho u at east, phi east, rho u at west, phi at west is equal to gamma at east, d phi dx at east minus gamma at west, d phi dx at west. So gamma, how to find at east and west, we have already discussed. Okay, in terms of conductivity, diffusivity is similar to conductivity. So we have seen that most appropriate option is to take harmonic mean for that. Okay. So we can write this as Fe phi minus Fw phi w is equal to gamma e by phi e minus phi p by delta xc. This term we can just interpolate at phi at this point minus phi at p point divided by the distance between them based on the linear interpolation. Okay. Similarly, minus gamma w del phi del x at this interface we can define it phi at p minus phi at w by this distance delta x w. This right hand side you already know. Okay, based on piecewise linear profile assumption, and also assuming that the contour volume faces are midway between the grid points. Okay, otherwise you have to take weight factors, which we are ignoring here. So the main difference will be for the different schemes that we are going to study. The main difference will be how we are going to treat this Fe phi and Fw phi w terms. How we are going to interpolate this Fe phi and Fw phi w terms. That is actually the objective of different schemes, and that actually dictates what is the accuracy for different schemes. Okay. So what is the easiest method for us? Easiest is to take average. Okay, if nobody tells you about any of these schemes, anything, based on just your intuition or common sense, what you are going to do or what I am going to do, if I don't know anything about CFD, I am going to take that phi at E as phi at capital E plus phi at capital P divided by 2. Means phi E plus phi P by 2. Because that is what common sense tells me. That at the center point, I can just take the average value if no information is given. So same thing can be done here, and that is what is the idea behind this central difference scheme. Okay, for central difference scheme, you just take linear profile assumption or the linear mean or just the average of this two grid point values to calculate the interface value of phi. Even for the advective term also, diffusive term is always like that. But remember that we don't have to take the same profile assumption for other terms. In this case, we are taking similar assumption even for the advective term also. So we are just taking a linear average. Okay. So because it is at the center, I can just add these two and divide by 2. Phi a plus phi p by 2. Okay. And Fe we are just keeping separate. Similarly, Fw into phi at small w is equal to phi p plus phi w by 2. Okay. So this is the crux behind the central difference scheme. On the right hand side, we can write this as this gamma e by delta xc. This is actually defined as diffusion strength. Okay, this is defined as diffusion strength. This has the same unit as this convective strength, and this is denoted by capital D. Okay, so I can write this gamma e by delta xc as dE into phi minus phi p minus dw phi p minus phi w, where d is equal to gamma by delta x is defined as the diffusion strength. Okay, and later we will define a ratio between the advective strength and diffusion strength, which is known as the Peclet number, which gives us the significance. Whose significance is that it gives us this comparative strength of the diffusion or advection process, like whichever is stronger and by how much. That is the significance of this Peclet number, which we are going to define later on. Okay, but at this point, let us just define this diffusive strength and convective strength. Okay. So based on this, we can just write the discretized equation as phi plus AW phi W. Okay, there is no B term here as there was no source term. It does not. If there was source term, it would have manifested as this B term. Because there is no source term, there is no precursor for term is present. Okay, so we are just left with AP phi p is equal to summation of A and B phi in B, which is for this 1D problem is AE phi E plus AW phi W, where this AE is equal to, so how this has been derived? Basically, you accumulate all the terms which has the phi p terms, all the terms which has the phi terms and all the terms which has the phi W terms. So if I look at one of these terms, this phi terms, we have a DE on the right hand side, and we can take this Fe by 2 on to the right hand side. So it will become minus Fe by 2. So the coefficient of phi will have D minus Fe by 2. Similarly for AW, we have on the right hand side already have minus DW into minus. And we will take this FW by 2 to the right hand side. So minus will become plus. So it will become DW plus FW by 2. Okay. And you take all the other terms to the, all the p terms to the other side, you will have. So here it is minus D on the left hand side. If you take, it will become plus D plus DW plus Fe by 2 minus FW by 2. Okay. So which you can write in this form, AE plus AW plus Fe minus FW. Okay. Just by algebraic manipulation. And remember that by continuity equation, Fe is equal to Fw. We have already derived. Okay. So Fe minus Fw is 0. So which leads us to the similar form which we have seen previously. In the absence of any source term, Fe is equal to AE plus AW. Okay. But the coefficients have changed. Now the coefficients contains this advective terms also. So this is our central difference. This is known as the central difference scheme. Now this D has to be obviously for to obtain this. What is the aim of any scheme? Aim of any scheme is to obtain these coefficients AP, AE and AW, so that you can pass on this. I will speak less loudly. Okay, my voice is breaking. So we will pass on this coefficients, value of the coefficients AP, AE and AW to our solver, like TDMA solver or any other solver. Okay, Gaussian solver or matrix inversion solver. So we have to find the value of AP, AE and AW in this case. And to do this, we have to find the value of D, Fe, DW and FW. Then we can find all the values of AE and AW. So to find D, Fe, DW and FW, we need to find the value of. So what is D? D is nothing but gamma I by delta Xc. So gamma I we need to find, and we know how to find gamma I based on harmonic mean or linear mean, as we have seen. Delta Xc is calculated based on mesh generation. Similarly, gamma W by delta XW is already known. Okay, so this D and DW we can find. For Fe and FW, how to find those values? Fe is what is Fe? It is rho u at east point, and FW is rho u at west point. Okay, so you have to use interpolated value of density at this point based on the density at the grid points. So I can take a linear mean of density or whatever suits us. So rho p plus rho e by 2. And velocity I can take mean velocity if no other information is given, ue plus up by 2. Okay, similarly up plus uw by 2 at this point, and we can find Fe and Fw. Okay, and then we can find the coefficients and pass on to the solver. Any questions up to this point? This is the simplest scheme. Okay, just if you don't know anything also, just by using common sense, you can derive the scheme. Okay, if somebody asks you to derive a scheme, CFD scheme for convection diffusion, if you can draw this discretized diagram, you will be able to derive the scheme without knowing anything. You may not remember DE, FE these terms, but at least you will remember how to integrate over this and find out this type of terms and how to interpolate phi and phi W. Okay, maybe you will not be able to write in terms of Fe or FW if you don't remember, but you will be able to write in terms of D means not D, this terms rho u, E and gamma by delta Xc, things like that. Let us try to look at a couple of very small examples to see the issues with central difference scheme. So say after some calculation, we have arrived at a situation in our solution process where we know the values of phi w and phi e. Somehow we know, okay, and we want to calculate the phi p value. Phi w is 1 and phi e is 2. It's maybe something like say temperature or concentration or something, okay. It is already known. And the diffusive strength is known, okay. Diffusive strength gamma by delta x at this east interface is 1 and west interface also is 1. Typically, this is expected to be equal. It may not be equal, but if the conductivity is not varying, the K will remain same. And if this delta XC also is same for both sides, if the grades are equally spaced, then D, the diffusive strength, will remain same at both the interfaces. Okay, diffusive strength depends on the conductivity and the distances. If distance is same and conductivity is same, conductivity or diffusivity, so diffusive strength will also be same. Okay. D is equal to dW is equal to 1. And Fe and Fw are also going to be same. Why? Because continuity equation dictates that Fe has to be equal to Fw. I cannot give a problem where Fe is equal to 1 and Fw equal to 10. Okay, it means that continuity equation is not satisfied. So correct problem is that it has to have Fe is equal to Fw, and it is also given as 1 in our case. And we need to find the value of this grid point P. So what are we going to do? We are going to just replace what we have derived here. A is equal to d minus Fe by 2. So d is 1 minus Fe by 2. Fe is 1. So 1 minus 1 by 2 half. Similarly, Aw is 3 by 2. 1 plus half 3 by 2. And Ap is equal to A plus Aw. So half plus 3 by 2. It is equal to 2. Okay. And then you just put the equation, discretized equation for this grid point P, which is Ap phi p is equal to A phi plus Aw phi w. So we get that Ap is 2, right? So 2 into phi p is equal to half into phi plus 3 by 2 into phi w. And by putting the value of phi and phi w given to us 1 and 2, you find that phi p is equal to 5 by 4. Okay. So this is there is no problem with this. Okay. This is a very simple situation which shows how the central difference scheme works. So only thing you can notice from here is that as the flow was from the left hand side to the right hand side, the influence of this left hand side is more. How do we know that flow is from left hand side to the right hand side? Because F is positive. F positive means it is U is positive towards the positive x direction. Means U is going towards the positive x direction. Okay. So if U is going towards the positive x direction, F should be positive. Otherwise, F would have been negative. Okay. So in that case, what do we expect in real life? If the flow is going from the left to the right, means from W towards this side, more influence of W should be there on this P. And same thing is reflected by the coefficients. So coefficient of W is more as compared to the coefficient of on the other side, upstream side, although it still has significant influence. Okay. In real life, it should not have significant influence. If the flow is larger, this information cannot pass back towards here. But here, because the flow velocity is small, how do we know flow velocity is small? I will discuss later. Okay. But you can say that in comparison to D, Fe is not very large. It is of the same order. So as a result, AW has a more stronger influence, but AE also has a certain influence, and phi p is between phi E and phi W. Okay. So this is what I have written here. It means that upstream grid point value has more influence on the value of phi at point P, and this is what we expect also. Okay. So what is the problem? Why we are going for other schemes? We already know that this is working here. Okay. So the problem comes when some of the values change. Okay. Here I have deliberately cooked a problem which satisfies a certain condition. Okay. Deliberately I have taken a problem or developed a problem which satisfies a certain condition so that central difference scheme works. If that condition is not satisfied, the central difference scheme will not give realistic results. Okay. So I will show you another example where deliberately now I have taken other values which does not satisfy the condition. Condition we are going to discuss later. But this thing that you are going to notice here is that advective strength I have increased, keeping everything else same. Phi W is 1, phi is 2, D is 1 for both cases, okay, similar to this. But the advective strength is now very large, means the flow has more effect as compared to diffusion. Okay, flow has more effect as compared to diffusion. Fe is equal to 5 and Fw is equal to 5. Again, I cannot arbitrarily take Fe is equal to 5 and Fw as 1, okay, because continuity equation dictates that Fe should be equal to Fw. So that still I have to remember as a like problem designer. So otherwise, when I write this Fe is equal to AE plus AW, this will not become correct. Okay, because this intrinsically assumes that actually what we have derived was Fe is equal to AE plus AW plus Fe minus Fw. Okay, so that term we have cancelled because Fe is equal to Fw. If I arbitrarily give different Fe and Fw values, that will not be satisfied. Okay, and that is also not physical. Okay, so again just plug in the values. D minus Fe by 2, 1 minus 5 by 2, this is minus 3 by 2, AW is equal to 7 by 2 and Fe is equal to AE plus AW minus 3 by 2 plus 7 by 2. Do you notice any problem here in these coefficients? As previous case, these
One
were the
become
coefficients, half, 3 by 2 and 2. One becomes negative. Okay,
Yes.
correct, good. Negative, and we have studied previously that still holds true. Okay, if some coefficient becomes negative, that may cause us problem. It is not guaranteed that it will cause problem, but there is a chance it is going to cause a problem. Means results can become physically unrealistic if one of the coefficient becomes negative. Okay, because here one of the coefficients has become negative, it may cause a problem. So let us try to find the value of phi p. Okay. So AP phi p is equal to AE phi plus AW phi W. Replace the value of AE and AP, AE and AW similar to previous case, and you will obtain phi p is equal to 1 by 4. What is the problem with this answer 1 by 4? Phi p is equal to 1 by 4. This is not physically correct. Although our discretized equation is giving it, means I have not made any calculation error in the discretized equation. So our discretized equation is correct, but this is an inherent flaw of the central difference scheme, that it is giving physically incorrect value. So why I am calling this as physically incorrect? Phi p 1 by 4. It is not negative. So what is the issue with this?
Sir,
It should be between 1 and 2.
less than 1.
Yes, it should be between 1 and 2, because when you have neighboring grid points and there is no source term, then the variation has to be continuous. Okay, so without any source term, I cannot have suddenly this point has higher value and again lower value, like low, high, low. If there is a source term, it can happen that phi can be higher or lower than the grid point, neighboring grid point values. At the absence of any source term, this cannot happen. So this is not physically realistic, as the value of phi p should be between that of phi and phi w if there is no source term. Okay, and this has happened as rightly pointed by one of you, because one of the coefficients have become negative. So this is one of the main drawbacks of this, that sometimes the coefficients become negative. And when can that happen? The coefficient, when can it become negative? When this d minus fe by 2 or dw plus fw by 2 can become negative?
If he has another order value than D.
If fe has a larger value, so if fe is greater than 2d, if fe is greater than 2d, fe by 2 will be greater than d and it will become negative. Similarly, if fe is greater than, means less than minus 2d, in that case fw, because fe is equal to fw will also be less than so, or fw is less than minus 2 dw. Okay, just let us consider this case. So In that case, what will happen? We will have this term will become
Negative.
yes, the entire term will become negative. Okay, FW by 2 will overcome this GW term. So formally, I can write this as central difference scheme works if the mod of F, mod of convective strength, advective strength is less than 2 times the diffusive strength. Diffusive strength is always positive. Advective strength can be negative or positive depending on the direction. If the velocity is from the west to east, it is positive. If it is from east to west, it is negative. Along the x direction, it is positive. Opposite to the x direction, it is negative. In both cases, the coefficient can become negative if it exceeds. So one of the coefficient will become negative, either AE or AW, if f mod of f exceeds 2D. Okay. So for central difference scheme to work, it has to be limited to a value of 2D. Means basically it works properly in case the advective strength is not very high. It is of the same order of diffusion. Okay. So central diffusion scheme works very well when it is a diffusion dominant mechanism. Means diffusion has a strong influence. If it is a flow dominant situation, which is the case for most cases, diffusion is slow for most of the things, like there is a flow through a pipe. Okay, what will be the conductivity of water or heat transfer due to conductivity? It will be much less as compared to heat transfer due to that flow of water through the pipe. Okay, so that conduction will not play any prominent role in the. So if I have say one end of the pipe is at high temperature and the other end of the pipe is at low temperature, this high temperature information will be brought inside very quickly because of the flow, not because of conduction. Conduction will be much slower if I have a significant velocity. Okay, so in many real life scenario, convection is actually much stronger. Advection, whenever I am saying convection, you just consider this to be advection. Okay? The colloquial term is convection, technical term is advection. The advection is much stronger as compared to diffusion. Okay, so in those cases, central difference scheme is not going to work. One way to tackle with this is, there is a way to tackle with this. Can anyone suggest cleverly how to tackle with this situation? Say the flow velocity is quite high. Okay, flow velocity is quite high. Still, I want to use central difference scheme. There is a way to do it. What can be done? Flow velocity is quite high. How can I use central? Not very high, but say it is high. Flow velocity is high. How can I use central difference scheme? Something is in your control still. One parameter. What is in your control?
Mesh size.
Mesh size. Good point. Delta X is in your control. If I refine the mesh size, means if I make the mesh, like increase the number of grid points, so instead of 10, if I have 100 grid points, delta X will be reduced by 10 times. So this diffusive strength, which is K by delta X or gamma by delta X, will be increased by 10 times. Okay. So in the numerical problem, so I can increase the value of D in that case. So in the limit of very small mesh, the central difference scheme is still going to work. Okay, that is the important point. That that is not there in the notes. Okay, just now I just remembered it, so I did not put it in the notes. But please note this point, or it will be there in the recording, and I can ask you in the question also. But it is not there in the notes. But that is one way to actually tackle. Okay, just came up to my mind, and formally we can define a number, as I was saying, which we can call as Peclet number P, which is the ratio of the advective strength by the diffusive strength. Okay, Peclet number P is the ratio of the advective strength by the diffusive strength. The significance is that basically it tells us which is relatively strong, advective strength or diffusive strength. So for mod F to be less than 2D, it means that the mod of Peclet number can be both positive or negative depending on the sign of F. D is always positive. So mod of P should be less than equal to 2. for central scheme to work properly. Okay, at the limit it can be equal to 2, but that is the limiting case. Okay, this is one problem, that there is a limitation of the central difference scheme. F has to be less than 2D, otherwise it is not going to work properly. Second limitation is that in some cases the diffusion is very negligible. As I was saying, flow is very large. Diffusion can be almost neglected. Okay, or the conductivity is very poor in some type of materials. In those cases, if D is not present, if we can ignore it, is almost equal to 0. If you remove it, this AP term, which is nothing but dE plus FE by 2 plus dW minus FW by 2. Okay, that is how we have discretized it. If you remove D, you will be just left with FE by 2 minus FW by 2. And what is the value of FE by 2 minus FW by 2? By continuity equation, this is equal to 0. So FE will become equal to 0. And you can see, now you can see the problem. What is the problem? Phi P is equal to AE phi E. We have defined phi P like this, right? Phi P is equal to AE phi E plus AW phi W by AP. Okay. So when we write this, phi P is equal to AE phi plus AW by phi W by AP, this becomes undefined. Okay. We cannot. So central difference scheme does not work at the limit of very weak diffusion. Okay. So these limitations can be overcome by the next scheme that we are going to study in the next class, which is known as the upwind scheme. Okay. So the main problem with this scheme was that we consider considerable effect of the downstream side also. But in real life, if there is a flow from the left to the right, the left side should have very strong influence, right side should not have very much influence. Okay. And that we did not consider when we had considered the advective term also. While creating the advective term, coefficient of the advective term, we had taken the, so for example, for this advective term at this point, so which is FW phi W, okay, or say for this point E, okay, FE phi E. For this point phi E, we have interpolated it based on phi capital E plus phi capital P by 2, means this point plus this point by 2, which is not correct for flow, right? Which should not be the case, because when flow is coming from one side, for diffusion it is correct, but when flow is coming from one side to the other side, the influence of this point should be maximum. This point should not have any influence of, or very negligible. It cannot have the influence, right, at this point, because flow is coming from here to here. Information by the advective term, at least the information is being brought from this side. Okay, so phi should be strongly influenced by phi P, but not by phi capital E. Okay, and that is the idea behind the next scheme, which is known as the upwind scheme. Okay, that the upstream side value more significance, downstream value any significance. Okay, we will continue this discussion in the next class. I will try to upload some assignments and send you the email also about our discussion today, like that there is a choice of assignment and project, and then keep on continuing this discussion. I'm trying to finish in time. I hope to finish also in time, but let us see. Okay, because I want to also go to 1 or 2 special topics at the end, and 1 or 2 additional schemes which are also useful, which are not part of the syllabus, but I have included it in the syllabus that I had given to you, but actually it is not part of the official syllabus, but it is important to know some of these things. So if there is any question, you can ask me. I will take the attendance meanwhile. I am uploading the attendance regularly, so please try to be present. Okay, because institute may monitor the attendance. Faculty advisors are asked to monitor the attendance. Date today is 17. So I will just repeat what we have decided today based on your suggestions about the teaching assessment part, 20 marks. Either you can do a very small mini project, depends on you what you define as mini project. It can be on any type of problem, thermal or fluid flow, or a combination. Using either coding, you can develop a code, or you can use any commercial software like COMSOL or ANSYS Fluent or any other software. Or you can take a mathematical problem, like you can compare different types of schemes or do an error analysis or things like that, or tackle one or two typical equations. Like I remember last time one of you had done, I think it was wave equation or some equation, and tried to derive or discretize that and show the solution for that. So any type of problem is possible. This is one option. Second option is if you don't want to do project because of, so this will not affect your grading. Okay, it is because of lack of time. If you want to just solve the assignments, but you have to solve the assignments. Okay, in that case, if those who are doing the project need not solve the, means if you want to do the assignment, that is fine, but it's not compulsory. So those who will not do the project, they have to solve the assignment problems and submit to me by the deadline. Deadline will be just before the exam. Okay, around 2 to 3 assignment will be there on programming. Okay, programming assignments. One may be very short one moderately long one. Okay, so which will be uploaded or given to you. So it is up to you to decide. And if you decide to do a project, it can be single or you can make a team of 2. Okay, but both should have contribution at least theoretically. Means if I ask question, both should be able to explain. So those who are giving project have to present their. They don't have to submit anything to me. They have to present their work by in short presentations of 10 to 15 minutes towards the end after the exam. Those who are doing the assignments, specific questions will be there on how you are interpreting the results and things like that, and you have to write the answers for that and submit. Okay.
Sir, sir,
Tell me.
sir, is it possible from your end that you will provide some like few topics for project?
It will be too difficult because so many students are there. I have given some hints. You just follow up on those hints if you do not find anything new. But otherwise, it is your, like, it is also part of CFD work. Means how to take a suitable project. Okay, that is also like, it is now you have reached the stage. You are not like all of you are master students basically, even dual degree students also. So when you are doing masters or higher, like postgraduate work, you have to try thinking independently. Means previously what is done up to BTech level, you are given assignments or problems in many cases which are very well defined. Okay, all the data is given, nothing is absent, and you just have to use some method to solve it. But in real life, it cannot be, that cannot be done. If somebody asks you to design a gas turbine blade, no data is given. It is up to you to choose. You cannot say that, but what is the pressure ratio for this? What is the, like this type of questions. Okay, whatever data is, no data is given, you have to find the data. You have to assume suitable data. If it is not there, you have to find. So all this you have to tackle. Similarly, you have to be able to also define or come up with new ideas for good CFD problems, which are feasible also in the limited time. I have given you some suggestions, like the cases like 2D conduction problem or some fluid flow problem, flow over a cylinder. If you want to use ANSYS, you can solve flow over a cylinder, this type of problem. These are very standard problems, but just don't copy paste from that tutorial. It's already there. Try some new thing. So I will not consider flow over a cylinder because it's there already. You can do flow over some other structure, like a fin-like structure or a block structure or 2 cylinders or something like that, one after other or something like that, or some heated cylinder. Say, for example, a heated cylinder is pulled into a cold water bath, how the temperature changes with time. And if you compare with lumped capacitance model, what is the difference? These type of problems also can be tackled. If you put something in a hot furnace, what happens to that? Means with time. Okay. You can take some radiation problem or some sublimation of carbon dioxide, something like that, real life, or some space application, something like again previous year, some of you had presented. Okay. So it is up to you to decide. Discuss
Okay.
with your friends. Discuss with your
Yes.
friends. It has to be feasible. Means don't take a very. I am going to do the CFD analysis of the flow inside a say blood vessel. That is not possible in this time limit. Okay, it is a too challenging problem. It will ultimately become like a pipe flow. So that is not the aim. You take a feasible problem. Okay. So please respond to your roll call. Pisai Dixit. This fellow is.
Sir,
Yeah.
present, sir.
You have to be present in all classes.
Yes, sir,
You have
present.
to be careful. Be careful. Okay.
Sir,
Yes.
regarding project, can we take airplane